Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we have a real treat, a variation on a personal favorite. It's the Jaeger-LeCoutlre Duometre, a Quantieme Lunaire Limited Edition of 200 pieces with black grained dial and white gold case. You can see this 2011 limited edition of 200 pieces and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this broadcast to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this timepiece and our entire collection of Jaeger-LeCoultre. Now, I cannot overemphasize the visual power, the charisma, and the sex appeal of this watch. If looks could kill, this would be a WMD for your wrist. Now, you may be having a double take here, or be inclined to take a double take. This is not my watch. This is my watch, the Duometre, a chronograph. So my famous chronograph from the broadcasts is not on offer, nor will it ever be, but its sibling from the subsequent model year absolutely is. Now, this timepiece is different in every way, but ergonomically, fit and feel, it's effectively the same as my watch. The 42mm white gold case is reasonably slim. The timepiece measures 13.8mm thick, which, given the degree of complexity, is admirable, and it does have a sloped case flank with a conical bezel, so it's fairly easy to fit underneath the dress cuff. Wearing the identically proportioned chronograph, I have successfully pulled off many suits. Now, you'll also note that from lug to lug, the watch is surprisingly compact for a 42. 50.4mm. It's an easy watch to wear on a smaller wrist, and I don't have the biggest of wrists at 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters. I wear this one easily. I would say down to 14.5 centimeters in circumference. Your wrist is going to wear this one well with security and proportion. Now, it does have quite a bit of heft to it. The case is deep, the lugs are substantial, the bezel is broad, and so is the case back, the metal portion of it, I should say. So you do feel all of the mass of this watch. It's very satisfying in a psychic sense to have that precious metal pull sitting on your wrist with a watch that looks this good. The feel matches the look, and the strap matches the sense of occasion, because this is one of Jaeger-LeCoultre's best. Now, it's a semi-gloss black large rectangular scale alligator leather strap that does feature substantial bolstering, so it holds up visually quite well against the substantial downturn of the lugs. Now, it's monotone stitch with folded edges on the underside, supple calfskin, very comfortable, and it's paired with a Jaeger-LeCoultre white gold, I should say gray gold pin buckle. And about that, the watch is what's known as gray gold within the industry. This is gray gold, like Rolex's gold, another form of gray gold, is homogeneous all the way through. So if you scratch it, if you nick it, if you were to put a dent in it, there's more white metal underneath. It never needs to be replated like conventional white gold, and thus always remains true to its color, whether you scratch it, scuff it, or dent it. And if you should dent it, of course, there's always the laser welder for that. But before you deface it, take a quick look at the finish, because it's exquisite. These are not screw-fixed lugs. These are the real thing. Double finished, welded, and cleaned up. The soldered lug architecture is responsible for the stepped joint between the case and the lug itself, and after it's soldered on, the evidence of the weld is removed by hand, and then the double finish, the high polish, and the satin are applied individually at each lug to create this spectacular aesthetic. Now, the watch even has a rather special crown, and yes, it's an absolute pleasure to wind in both directions because of the unique dual wing movement with twin power reserves, reserve, both at the base of the dial. You wind in both directions, and you can see both power reserve scales are moving as I wind in both directions. The crown is wonderfully textured with irregular ridging, and the feeling of winding is creamy, supple, sensuous. It's an absolute pleasure. The dial is spectacular because, unlike my chronograph, the Foudroyant, the flying second, runs full time. You may ask, why do you need that? Because the purpose of this model, unlike the chronograph, is absolute chronometric precision at all times. The chronograph is designed to run as accurately as a chronometer even when the chronograph is running. This one optimizes its precision at all times by using one of the barrels to run the balance, and only the balance, and the other barrel to run the time as well as the display of the moon phase and the date. Now, of course, there is a pusher adjuster for the date, so we can demonstrate that real quick. Allows you to cycle through easily. There is a case flank pusher adjuster for the moon phase, but here's the thing. You can also set the watch precisely. Again, chronometry being the mission. First you pull the crown out to 1 detent, and then you pull it to the next detent. It has a precise zero reset feature for both seconds and 1/6 seconds. Beautiful, brilliant, and thanks to the caliber 381 on the back, also a pleasure for the eyes. Now, it's extraordinary in its construction because it looks like nothing else made by Jaeger-LeCoultre, and really nothing else made within Switzerland. Its closest comparison would be from sister firm within the Richemont Empire, a Lange & Söhne. It looks like a Lange. Actually, the watch looks like a Lange externally, and it looks like a Lange internally. If you're going to borrow a family resemblance, this is a good look. Now, of course, it's not called German silver in Switzerland. This beautiful untreated nickel copper alloy is known as Maishur, and of course it features prominently throughout, adding color, supplemented by the heat-blued kiln-fired screws, as well as the violet of the pivot jewels and the vivid gold of the balance wheel. Now, you can see the ratchets for each individual barrel, endowing the watch in each case with 50 hours of power reserve for 50 combined hours of power reserve. Free sprung, beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. Very, very accurate. Again, it doesn't have a COSC certificate, but trust me, from my own experience, these watches can run 1 second or better per day. This is as good as it gets. And the movement is also open, deep, and voluminous, so it's a pleasure for the eyes. And the finish is the upper echelon of what Jaeger-LeCoultre offers. Up there with the Master Grand Tradition watches, the Duometre, a distinctive signature line for the company from Le Sentier. It gets all of the best of everything inside and out. See it and purchase it on our website.